Welcome to SmackDown. If you missed the Raw episode, going forward after this episode, things will be tightened up a little bit as things have happened behind the scenes where we have to kind of start accelerating how quickly we do these things. With that said, this is a go home show to Bad Blood, so let's get started. Biggie opens the show with a table and a contract set up in the ring. He invites both Drew McIntyre and Seth down to the ring to sign a contract for their last man standing match. Both Drew and Seth come down to the ring and sit in chairs opposite one another across the table. Seth grabs a mic and says to Drew, "There are no more words that need to be said." Drew then cuts him off and says, "Then put the damn mic down and sign the contract. We know there is no love lost between us. We have beat each other senselessly for months. You took me out of action. You stole my title away from me." Seth, the PLE name Bad Blood is very apropos because that's all there is going to be between us. And at Bad Blood, I put an end to what has been a massive nuisance in my life. Drew then takes the contract and signs it. Seth just chuckles and says, "Drew, you always play the victim." Somehow, Drew is never the one at fault. He just constantly gets screwed over time and time again. You know what I think, Drew? I think you're insane. Do you know what the definition of insanity is? It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. You act like a jackass to everybody, act tough, and then you get screwed over. And then you blame the other guy. Drew, look in the mirror, man. You do it to yourself. If you want someone to blame for all your shortcomings, it is you. So at Bad Blood, Drew, I will beat you down so bad you can't beat that count of 10. Then hopefully, you start to look back and realize you're the one to blame. Seth goes to sign the contract, but Drew flips the table and they begin brawling. Seth eventually wins the exchange and curb stomps Drew. Seth then grabs the contract, smushes it against the face of Drew, and signs it. We then cut backstage. Kevin Owens is on his way to the ring when he gets cut off by Kathy Kelly, asking him about losing the opportunity for the US title tonight. Kevin stops and says, "Kathy, look, I'm past that, okay? I have a matchup next for the King of the Ring tournament, and I would appreciate it if you didn't take me out of my zone." Kevin then storms off towards the ring. And then get to our opening match tonight, Kevin Owens versus Damian Priest in the first round of the King of the Ring tournament. Kevin Owens picks up the win. We then see Jade Cargill is backstage speaking about her match at Bad Blood against Io Sky. Jade says, "Look, I've been over this plenty of times. I'm going to run through everybody. When me and met in the tournament, I beat her. So what makes you think it will be any different at Bad Blood?" Io then walks up with a huge smile across her face. Jade says, "Io, I have no time to show you any love. I need to stay focused on my mission, and that mission is becoming the first ever women's intercontinental champion." Io says, "I was not hoping to change your emotion you have for me. Simply wishing you luck ahead of our match." Io then puts her hand out, and Jade somewhat begrudgingly shakes it. We then see Solruka and Zarya speaking about how the women's intercontinental tournament went, and Zarya says, "Look, the IC tournament may not have gone the way either of us were hoping, but now you have an opportunity in the Queen of the Ring tournament. So let's refocus and give it our all out there." Sol says she appreciates the words of advice, and after she becomes Queen of the Ring, then the sky's the limit for Zaruka. Sol heads down to the ring to face Lyra Valkyria for the first round of the women's for the Queen of the Ring tournament. Lyra Valkyria picks up the win. After the match, we see Karrion Kross and Cody Rhodes come across one another backstage. Cody says, "Cross, at this point, I have nothing else to say. We have our match set. You know what I want. I know what you want." Cross cuts Cody off and says, "How do you know what I want?" "Cody, whatever you think I want out of this, I could tell you for certain that you are wrong. Cody, you're the embodiment of what a wrestler should be. You went around conquering all the territories, came back to where you started, and took this company into the future. Every wrestler should aspire to be like you. Hell, if I weren't champion right now, there's no other man I would rather see holding this belt than you. Cody, I want you to have as much success as you possibly can. Unfortunately for you, though, I'm just not going to allow it to be at my expense." Cross attempts to walk away, but Cody grabs his shoulder. Cody just looks at Cross and says, "Thank you." Um, Cameras cut to Damage Control locker room where Asuka is throwing things all over the room. Kairi is trying her best to calm her down, and Dakota is trying her best to explain herself when Io walks through the door. Asuka looks at Io and yells, "Nanda yo! You and Dakota screwed me over. I should be in the championship match, not you." Dakota steps in and attempts to apologize, but Asuka storms out. Asuka then yells out, "Kairi!" And Kairi looks at both Dakota and Io before walking out. Uh, Mercedes Moné is then backstage with Team Bad when Paige and Ruby Soho confront them. Paige says, "Look, we don't appreciate Big E just handing out title matches. We think we deserve the chance to represent SmackDown just as much as you guys." Mercedes then looks perplexed and says, "Paige, remind me, how many matches have you won this year? Oh, and how about you, Ruby? How many matches have you won? Look, we don't deal with losers. This is a group of winners, and at Bad Blood, let alone will I walk out with my women's title, but Naomi and Tamina will walk out as your new tag team champions." Paige says, "You know what this sounds like to me, Ruby? It sounds like somebody's afraid of their title opportunity being taken away." Mercedes says, Mercedes says, "We're scared of nothing." Naomi then steps up and says, "If y'all want a match, fine. Meet us in the ring, but don't be complaining when we whoop those behinds." We then head down to the ring. Team Bad versus Paige and Ruby Soho. Team Bad pick up the win. Trick Williams is walking around backstage when he gets interviewed by Kathy Kelly about his title match tonight against Malachi Black. Trick says, "Look, I'm going to keep it simple. There's nobody on this roster that is on Trick's level, okay? Malachi may think he's good, but once he steps into the ring with me one on one, he's going to realize there's a lot left for him to learn from somebody like me." Uh, we then see Charlotte Flair walking around backstage when she comes across Chemical X, Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, and Shotzi Blackheart. Charlotte says, Charlotte looks at them and Tatum lights up and says, "Charlotte, are you here to help us out?" Charlotte says, "Help you out? Look, kid, I have a Queen of the Ring tournament to focus on, so please don't distract me." Charlotte walks off and Tatum just slumps back down and Gigi and Shotzi console her. Um, we then go down to the ring for New Day versus Motor City Machine Guns. Phenomenal Egos are on commentary for this match as the New Day pick up the win. After the match, Solo Sikoa has a vignette in a dark room with Bloodline Wolfpack standing behind him. Solo says, "Sammy, this all started with me trying to set the table for my family. I chose you to be the example that SmackDown needed to see that I was serious about our success. That's all you're supposed to be, Sammy, was an example. But now you have derailed my plans for the last time. At Bad Blood, it's you versus Bronson. And trust me, Sammy, this will not be pretty. You held this man back for far too long, and now it's time for him to be the star that he was meant to be. Sammy, Bad Blood will be the last time you cross my family. You can believe that." Uh, we then cut over to Malachi Black being interviewed about his upcoming match against Trick Williams. Malachi says, "Trick Williams, I am not a man to be taken lightly. You don't just luck your way into becoming champion. You have to earn it. But but I can't help but feel like I earned that title just as much as you did. You see, I was mere moments away from winning the US title before you nailed me with that trick shot. So Trick, I hope you're ready for what's about to happen because I'm not coming for that title. Because I'm coming for that title and I'm not going to pull any punches along the way." And then head down for our main event between Trick Williams and Malachi Black for the US title. The bell rings and Malachi charges across the ring and attempts a flying knee, but Trick manages to move out of the way. Trick then goes for a bicycle pump kick before Malachi blocks it and lays in a barrage of strikes. He then knocks Trick down with a kick to the chest. Malachi then mounts Trick and starts laying in some forearm shots to the head before Trick can shove him off and rolls out of the ring. Malachi is quick to his feet and charges across the ring to dive out, but Trick sees this and cuts him off just as he's about to dive through the ropes. Then, with Malachi draped over the middle rope, draped over the middle rope, hanging over the apron. Trick gets up on the apron and connects with a scissors kick. Malachi falls back into the ring and Trick goes for the cover but only gets a count of two. Trick gets back to his feet and backs up into the corner awaiting Malachi to get to his feet. Once he gets up, Trick charges in for the trick shot, but Malachi ducks and trips Trick. Malachi then rolls over and locks into crossface. Malachi pulls back with all he can, but Trick uses Malachi's own momentum to roll him over into a pin and gets a count of two. Both men quickly get back to their feet and Trick charges at Malachi, who sidesteps him and pushes him towards the rope, where Trick bounces off chest first and gets caught with a German suplex. Malachi then picks Trick up and with his foot and goes for the black mass, but Trick manages to block it. Trick then nails Malachi with a knee, dazing him. Trick then turns around, hits the ropes, and goes for a trick shot. Midway through the air, Malachi manages to connect with Black Mass, dropping Trick to the mats. Malachi goes for the cover. 1, 2. Jacob Fatu comes crashing down from the sky to break up the pin. Jacob Fatu unleashes an assault onto both Malachi and Trick before releases an assault onto Malachi before throwing him out of the ring. Then Jacob headbutts a down Trick Williams a couple of times before going up top and hitting a moonsault. Jacob closes the show standing tall over Trick standing over Trick, holding the title high, with Malachi down on the outside. The Trick retains via DQ.
Y'all mind if white boys speak a little Japanese?
I mean, listen, last time I tried to just not speak Japanese, you roasted my ass. You're like, oh, you can't
Exactly.
even put in some. I was like, fine, I guess I'll put in a little bit of Japanese.
Exactly.